The fight on birthright citizenship now at the Supreme Court. The High Court Friday requesting responses from states and groups challenging the president's executive order. The move signaling justices will consider the Trump administration's request to lift the nationwide pause. Dozens of Democratic-led states and organizations are suing, arguing it's unconstitutional and would cause irreparable harms. On the other hand, 18 states are supporting the order that seeks to deny citizenship to any child born after February 19th whose parents are not in the country legally. It also prevents agencies from issuing documents or accepting state documents recognizing citizenship from them. South Carolina Attorney Alan Wilson among those defending the president's action, saying politicians have been too scared to address the abuse of birthright citizenship, but this executive order finally brings much needed clarity and enforcement to the issue. Here now, South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Hey, thank you for having me on your program. It's great to be with you, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I think everybody's a little bit Irish today there. You know, Mr. Wilson, I do want to talk to you, though, about this because you know that there are a lot of people who are divided on the issue. As this legal battle continues to unfold, you argue it's a crucial move to deter illegal immigration and birthright tourism. What is your office doing right now to prioritize the end of birthright citizenship?
Well, obviously, we joined this brief to the Supreme Court that you just talked about, and this is something that I've been looking at for many years. Obviously, 160 so years ago when they passed the 14th Amendment, that amendment was rightfully designed to bestow citizenship on emancipated slaves, which needed to happen, but it has been misinterpreted over the last 160 years to incentivize the ridiculous notion that somebody can come to the United States in the dead of night, drop a child like an anchor, like a boat drops an anchor, and all of a sudden they have been bestowed citizenship for henceforth evermore. That was not the intention of the framers of the 14th Amendment, but somehow as Americans, we have somehow gotten into this belief that this misapplied constitutional belief is somehow the way it was intended, and that's simply not the case. And so this executive order has created a vehicle for us to go to the Supreme Court to get clarity on this issue. And I understand it can be a very divisive issue, but think of the conduct that it is incentivizing and the type of problems it has created for America over the last several decades.
And Mr. Attorney General, I don't believe most people know that there are groups that actually provide tours for pregnant women to come to the United States and have a child.
No, you're absolutely right. And that again, that is the very thing I'm talking about. I mean, imagine this. You know, imagine someone from China or someone associated with ISIS or Hezbollah or some non-government actor sneaks across the border in the dead of night with their spouse or with a female, and they drop a child. They have a baby here. Then all of a sudden they are allowed to be here forever. Or let's say somebody is visiting the United States from France. They have a baby here in the United States, and then they return to France that following week, and then 60 years later, that child who is now 60 years old, do they get to now come back to the United States and they haven't even been here in 6 decades and act like they're a U.S. citizen? Again, it's a nonsensical argument that birthright citizenship should bestow upon people the same rights as people who were born here by people who were lawfully present.
And before I let you go, Mr. Attorney General, you do believe that the Supreme Court will weigh favorably in your favor?
I believe they will. I believe that they could. Obviously, you don't want to get in front of your skis, but I wouldn't be part of this movement if I didn't think there was a possibility that the Supreme Court would interpret the 14th Amendment in light of the tradition and the history in which it was written, which they're starting to do now when they evaluate the constitutionality of certain laws and constitutional provisions. I think they could rule in our favor, and I'm hopeful that they will.
And just to be clear, for those who would say, hey, you're taking draconian measures, this is really about making sure that the law is applied the way it was intended.
That is correct. It is always about the way that the framers of a law or of a constitutional amendment intended it to be applied, not the way that we want it to be applied. That is what those other groups are trying to do. They want the outcome. I'm saying let's just go to the original intent of the amendment.
Attorney General Alan Wilson, thank you so much for joining News Nation today.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.